Hello students, I am Manoj Kundare, the Assistant Professor of Electronic Science. Welcome back to our e-learning platform. In previous video, we were studied the introduction about the semiconductor materials. In that video, we were discussed the types of the semiconductor materials, intrinsic semiconductor and the extrinsic semiconductor. We also learned what is meant by p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor. The link of the previous video is available in the description box. Please check it. Now in this video we are going to see the formation of the p-n junction diode. Let's see the short summary about the semiconductor materials. We already learned that the semiconductor material is the material whose conductivity or the current carrying capacity is lying between that of conductor and insulator. That means the conductivity of the semiconductor is less than conductor and greater than insulator. The examples of the semiconductor materials are silicon, silicon or germanium. These silicon or germanium are the tetravalent material. The tetravalent material means the material in which outermost orbit contains 4 valence electron is called as tetravalent material. The silicon has the atomic number 14 and the germanium has the atomic number 32. That means in outermost orbit silicon atom contains 4 valence electron. Also in outermost orbit germanium atom also consists 4 valence electron. Let's see the types of the semiconductor. There are mainly two types of semiconductor. First one is intrinsic semiconductor and second one is extrinsic semiconductor. What is meant by intrinsic semiconductor? Then we learn that the semiconductor in its purest form is called as intrinsic semiconductor. In other words, we can also say that the pure semiconductor is also called as the intrinsic semiconductor. How does the intrinsic semiconductor forms? Let's see the crystal structure about the intrinsic semiconductor. Here is a one silicon atom is shown. We know that the silicon atom consists 4 valence electrons in its outermost shell. This silicon atom contains 4 valence electron 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, other silicon atoms also has the 4 valence electrons. Now you can see here all the silicon atoms have the 4 valence electron in its outermost shell. Now what happens here? Here, while in the crystal structure of the intrinsic semiconductor, this silicon atom make a covalent bond with neighboring 4 silicon atom to complete its octet by this way. Okay, the simplified diagram of the crystal structure is shown here. What happens here? Here the silicon atom complete its octet by sharing an electron with neighboring 4 silicon atoms. Here we can see the crystal structure of the pure semiconductor. Here is the octet of the silicon atom is completed. That means here are 2 electrons, here are 2, 2 and 2. That means there are total 8 electrons in this outermost shell. This structure is called as the pure crystal structure, or this is called as the intrinsic semiconductor material. Now let's see what happens here. Here it is shown that all the silicon atoms are gathered together and make a covalent bond with the neighboring 4 silicon atom and they complete their octet. This is the process of intrinsic semiconductor material formation. Okay, I hope now you are understand what is meant by the intrinsic semiconductor material. Okay, now let's see this next type, extrinsic semiconductor material. as we know that the pure form of semiconductor is known as intrinsic semiconductor, and the impure form of semiconductor is called as extrinsic semiconductor. In other words, we can also say that the semiconductor in which the impurity is present is called as the extrinsic semiconductor. The impurities are added by the doping process. Depending upon the impurities, the extrinsic semiconductor divided into two types: n type semiconductor material and second one is p type semiconductor material. Now let's see what is meant by n type semiconductor material. When the pentavalent impurity means the material whose outermost orbit contains 5 valence electron is called as pentavalent material. When such a pentavalent material is added into pure semiconductor crystal, then n type semiconductor is formed. For example, let's see, here is a germanium crystal is shown, and in this crystal a pentavalent impurity phosphorus is added. The atomic number of phosphorus is 15. The atomic number of phosphorus is 15. That means it contains 2 electrons in first orbit, 8 electrons in second orbit, and remaining 5 electrons in the outermost orbit. That means the phosphorus contains 5 electrons or 5 valence electrons. What happens here? Let's see. Here the phosphorus atom makes a covalent bond with neighboring 4 germanium or silicon atom. In that bonding, the 4 electrons are in covalent bonds while the 1 electron is remaining as it is. This electron is treated as the free electron, and we know that the current is carried out by only the free electrons. When there is a free electron is present, then the current is present. Hence, in n-type semiconductor material, the current flows due to the motion of the electrons. In n-type semiconductor, the majority charge carriers are the electrons while the minority charge carriers are the holes. I hope you all understand the basic concept about n-type semiconductor material. Let's see once again. In n-type semiconductor material, the majority charge carriers are the electrons and the minority charge carriers are the holes. Okay. Now let's see what happens in n-type semiconductor material. Here is a silicon crystal is shown, and in this silicon crystal a phosphorus atom is added. We already learned that the phosphorus has the 5 valence electrons in its outermost shell. What happens here? Here this phosphorus atom makes a 4 covalent bond, but 1 electron is free to move. This free electron constitutes a current in a crystal. I hope you all understand the concept of n-type semiconductor material. Now let's see what is meant by p-type semiconductor material. The p-type semiconductor material can be formed by adding a trivalent impurity in a pure semiconductor material. Then what is meant by trivalent? It is very simple. The trivalent means the material in which the outermost orbit contains 3 valence electron is called as trivalent material. Okay, that means let's see this on a picture. Here is a germanium crystal is shown, and in this germanium crystal a boron atom is added as an impurity. We know that the atomic number of boron is 5, hence we can divide this 5 into the first orbit contains 2 electrons and the last orbit contains the 3 electrons. That means in outermost orbit the boron has the 3 electrons, but while in the crystal structure the boron makes 3 covalent bonds. Here is first bond, second bond, and third bond. But with this germanium atom, this boron atom cannot make a covalent bond because of here is a deficiency of electron is present. That means there is the absence of electron, and in electronics the absence of electronics is called as a hole. In other words, we can also say that hole is a deficiency of the electrons. In electronics, the current is flown by electrons as well as the holes. Okay, now I hope you understand the p-type semiconductor material. What happens in p-type semiconductor material? Let's see once again. In p-type semiconductor material, the trivalent impurities are added. The trivalent impurities means the 3 electrons in its outermost shell. When these trivalent impurities are added into the pure germanium or silicon crystal, then the 3 covalent bonds may create, but one covalent bond in this one covalent bond a hole is present, and this hole constitutes the current. That means in p-type semiconductor materials, holes are the majority charge carriers while the electrons are the majority charge carriers. I hope you all understand now the concept of the n-type semiconductor material and the concept of the p-type semiconductor material. Let's see this briefly. Here is the silicon crystal is shown and the boron atom is shown. What happens when this boron impurity is added into the silicon crystal? It is shown here that when the boron atom is added, what happens? The 3 bonds are made. Here 3 bonds are made and the hole is moved. This movement of hole constitutes the current. I hope now you understand the p-type semiconductor material. Now let's see our point, formation of p-n junction. Let's see what is meant by the p-n junction. It is very simple. When p-type semiconductor material is joined with the n-type semiconductor material to form a junction, then the junction is called as the p-n junction, as shown in following figure. Here is the p-type semiconductor material is shown and n-type semiconductor material is shown. These two materials are joined here to form a junction. Hence, this junction is called as the p-n junction. Okay, this junction is called as the p-n junction. Now the next point is the unbiased p-n junction or zero biased p-n junction. The p-n junction in which no external voltage is applied is called as unbiased or zero biased p-n junction. That means the p-n junction in which no external power supply is joined or connected, then the junction is called as the unbiased junction or zero biased junction. What happens in this unbiased or zero bias junction? Let's see. The electrons are the majority charge carriers in n type, which crosses the junction and diffuses into the p region to become a negative immobile ion. Similarly, the positive immobile ions are diffused into n type region. Let's see this statement on the diagram. As here is the two regions are connected. This region is p-type region and this region is n-type region. These two regions are connected to form a junction. Hence, the junction is called as the p-n junction. We know that in p-type region, the holes are the majority charge carriers, while in the n-type region, electrons are the majority charge carriers. What happens here? Here the electrons are cross the junction and enters into the p region and becomes an immobile negative ion. I hope you all understand the things. Let's see once again. This electron crosses the junction and enters into the p region and becomes an immobile ion. Similarly, these electrons are crosses the junction and becomes an immobile ion across the junction. Similarly, the hole crosses the junction and becomes a positive immobile ion in n-type region. I hope you all understand the actual process happening in the unbiased or zero biased PN junction material. Now, next point is formation of depletion region across the PN junction. When PN junction is formed, some of the free electrons in the N region diffuses across the junction and combine with the holes to form negative ions. In so doing, they leave behind positive ions at the donor impurity sites. In this process, a narrow region of immobile ion is developed across the junction, which is called as the depletion region, depletion layer, or the space charge region, etc. What happens, as previously seen, that what happens, these electrons are crosses the junction and becomes immobile negative ion. Similarly, these holes are crosses the junction and becomes the positive immobile ions. What happens in this process? In this process, a narrow region of positive immobile ions and negative immobile ions is formed. This region is called as the depletion region, which is formed across the PN junction. I hope you all understand the concept of depletion region. Now let's see what is meant by the formation of barrier potential at PN junction. When the depletion layer is formed at the junction, it stops the further recombination of electrons and holes. Due to the fixed immobile ions, the electric field is developed across the junction. This potential acts as the barrier for the further recombination, hence is called as barrier potential. The value of barrier potential for silicon is 0.6 to 0.7 volt and for germanium is 0.3 to 0.35 volt. This is the very important statement here, that the value of the barrier potential for silicon is 0.6 to 0.7 volt and for germanium is 0.3 to 0.35 volt. Let's see what happens actually in the barrier potential. We know that in an unbiased PN junction diode, what happens, the electrons and holes recombine with each other and becomes an immobile ion at the junction. This region is called as the depletion region. In this depletion region, the potential is developed, or in other words we can say that an voltage is developed, and this voltage is called as the barrier potential or the barrier voltage. Why the name barrier is used for this voltage? Because when this voltage or potential is developed, then there is no further recombination is takes place. That means no electrons or no holes can cross this junction or this area. This area is acts as the barrier for them. Hence there is no further recombination takes place after the formation of depletion layer or the barrier potential. Now I hope you all understand the concept of depletion layer and the barrier potential. Now let's summarize our lecture in short. What happens? when the p-type material and n-type materials are joined together, then a p-n junction is formed. What happens after the p-n junction? When the p-n junction is formed, then some electrons, let's see once again, the p-n junction is formed. The junction is formed here. The electrons crosses the junction and becomes immobile. Similarly, holes becomes immobile. This is the positive charge, positive immobile ions. This is the negative immobile ions. Hence, let's see once again. This is the immobile, negative immobile ions. This creates a depletion layer, and within this depletion layer, a barrier potential is developed. This barrier potential stops the further recombination of electrons and holes. Now, I hope you all understand the actual process of barrier potential and the depletion layer. Okay. What happens here? The semiconductors, let's see, the semiconductors n-type and p-type are brought together. Electron and holes migrate across the junction. The depletion layer is formed and a potential difference is set up across the depletion layer. Potential difference means the barrier potential is developed across the junction. I hope you all understand the p-n junction, the depletion layer in the p-n junction, and the barrier potential across the p-n junction. Thank you.